Dear students, today we will start a new session called as functions, which is one of the major concept that is used in any programming language, similarly in the language C also. So functions are in any situation we can say function. As the name indicates, it is having a particular function, some operations to be done according to the requirement of the programmer or the user. So we will start the first part and then we will see, initially we will see the basics of functions and the different formattings like the syntax and other details regarding the usage of functions. Then we will have some example programs. We will see more examples in our next session. This session we will see some basics regarding the functions, what is function, where it is used, why it is being used, and what are the different ways in which we can use the concept called as function. So before moving in detail regarding the functions in C, we will see what is basically called as a modular programming. So this is one of the common approach. That means there were different types of programming methodologies, where modular programming was one of the major concept. Initially it was called as modular programming. So modular programming, as the name indicates, modular programming, if you are having a very larger program or larger software program available, and if you are trying to design and implement that larger program in a single order, that means as a single design or as a single program together, it will be a difficult task, because if it is larger, if the complexity is larger when compared to the simple programs. So in that situation, if you are dividing the various portions of that particular software into different modules, and even if you take a textbook, if entire details, informations are gathered together under a single chapter, that will be difficult. But if the author of that book is dividing that textbook into a number of modules, we can study that. That means each module will be having some focus, and we can look at only those modules that is according to the requirement. Even the second module will be a continuation of first module, but there will be a connection between first and second, and from second to third until it reaches the last module. So it will make the reader easier to go through the entire textbook, which consists of a number of modules. Similarly, if a larger program is also divided into a number of sub modules, it will be easier for understanding, it will easier for writing the program, and it is also easier for accessing or for understanding that particular program. So this concept was actually called as modular programming. It separates the functionality. So if a large program, of course there will be different functionalities. So if you divide that functionalities into different groups, or we separate those functionalities so that we can have a separate access to those functionalities. So if and these functionalities can be now can be called as modules in the case of modular programming. So according to the requirement, according to the desired functionality, each modules can be written. So that is a major concept behind the usages of modular programming. This is a general concept, general programming concept. C is a language that follows the concept of modular programming. Now let us see what are the various advantages of using this modular programming or modular software approach. First thing is, the entire development can be divided into different sub modules. So according to the task, we'll be having different tasks. So the task can be it can be given to different programmers. One module is can be given to one person, another module can be given to another person. Finally, we need to have a common program that accesses all these modules. So then if a large software program or that project can be divided into a number of modules. Also, if you are having separate modules available, as I was mentioning in a textbook, we can easily read the contents. If somebody is going to modify that program, if they want to easily understand the contents of that program, it must be in different modular format. If it is only a single sequential program starting from the first statement to the 1000 up to 1000 number of line of codes, it will be difficult for a programmer or any other person to read that particular program and understand it. So modularity or modular programming concept will improve the readability of the programs. Then next one is we can easily find out the errors. We can easily find out the errors because for a larger program, if we compile and if we are getting some errors, we need to go and search on the location where that particular error occurs. But if we are dividing that into modules, we can easily understand on which module this error is, and accordingly we can have correction on that errors. Then again, it allows reuse of codes. The same module, maybe if it is required for some other application, some other software, the same module can be reusable. So each modules are independent. Now if the modules are required for some other operation, it can be reused on that code also. Similarly, it improves manageability because we can easily manage the contents of a program. As we also know that any group of people, if you divide that into different subgroups, we can easily manage those students or any other set of groups. Similarly, if you divide the entire program into some number of modules, we can easily manage. We can that means every type of management will be easier with these different modules. Then the last advantage is collaboration. So different programmers, so different modules are given to different programmers and they can collaborate because sometimes there will be some connections. So one module is depending on some other module and the second module is depending on some other, or this output will be given to some other modules, etc., etc. So there will be a collaboration for a team or for a group related projects or programming situation, and all we can utilize the concept of modular programming. So these are the major advantages or features of modular programming as it is taken as a general concept. Okay, now let us see our topic, that is function. So function is actually based on the concept called as modular programming. So actually what is a function? So we can define a function as a group of statements that together perform a task. We are having some statements together and this can be called as a function. So this function will be doing a task, like for example it will be finding the sum. Similarly, so this can be called as f1, for example f1. Now I am having another function which also consists of a group of statements, and this produces some other result, like it is finding the prime. This is another function, can be called as function 2. So every function will be having a group of statements to perform a task. So each function body will be having a task, a particular task to be performed. So every C program, as we know, it has at least one function. So we know that for a normal program we are using a single function called as main function. Now similarly we can include some additional functions also, like this S1, F2, etc. Okay, so as an introduction, just understand that the functions are actually a set of statements to perform a particular task. So similarly, a number of different functions together to form a modular programming concept. Okay, now let us see what are the different types of functions. The different types of functions. There are mainly two types. One is library functions, standard library functions, and second one is user-defined functions. So standard library, we can also call it as predefined functions. We have already seen some functions like strlen in the string concept, then strcpy, similarly strcat. All these are examples of standard library functions. Some functions are already defined. The task is already defined and that is stored inside the library. Sometimes it will be like printf is in stdio. Printf is a function. It is already defined. What is to be done with printf is already defined. Similarly, strcat is a string handling function, predefined or built-in function that is a member of string.h, that is in some other library. So similarly, some functions, what is to be done, that is already defined. What we need to do is just access those functions by using its name. Just like we are having a fan in our home, if you are having a fan, what we are doing, it is already predefined because the functionality is already given. We are not rotating the fan, the functionality is already defined. What we are doing in our room, I am doing some reading or some other, I am doing some activity. So I will be calling a function, that means rotation of a fan, simply by switching on the corresponding switch. Okay, so functionality will be automatically working. So that is already defined. That is called as library function. Now second one is user defined functions are those functions that can be defined by the user. Just like I was mentioning, F1 was used for finding the sum. So I will be defining a function. I will be defining a function with some statements. I will be defining a new function I will be writing, and this function is used for finding the sum. Now this sum can also be used for similar, like calling a fan. I can use F1 for finding the sum. If I require this sum for 100 times, for all these 100 times, I can use the name of that function for doing this entire task. Okay, so I will be writing these statements only once, and I can utilize that by calling that function several times. Otherwise, if you want to do these operations 100 times, I need to repeat these codes for 100 times. Hope it is clear. So this is called as user defined function. The user, the programmer, we will be writing the function and its body, like for prime number I will be writing a function, for finding the length of a string I will be writing a function, for doing some operation related to array I will be writing a function. So the function is defined. Definition means the body, what functionality it is doing, what is to be done with the given function, that is to be written by the programmer. That is called as user defined functions. Okay, so I have already given some idea regarding standard library as well as user defined functions, but again let us see the two categories once again. Now library functions, they are built-in functions. I have already mentioned they are actually stored in various header files. Some examples are printf. It is used for formatted output, just for printing the output in the screen. It is actually present inside the header file called as stdio.h. We already know that. Similarly, I am having another function called as sqrt, that is square root, to finding the square root of a number. This function is also there in the header file called as math.h. That is another header file, and within the header file similarly we are having some mathematical functions are available. So I can directly use this function for finding square root. So we won't be calculating the square root. Just call this function, square root will be directly available. Okay, now another example is strlen, that also we have already discussed. It is used to find the length of a string, and it is defined inside the header file called as string.h. So already we are familiar with all these built-in functions. Okay, so we know that how we are using printf, I am simply calling printf. How we are using sqrt, I am simply calling sqrt. Then for getting length, I am using strlen. So we are not giving any body. What is, we don't know what is there inside that function. We don't know that, but we know what is happening, but we don't know exactly what is written inside that function. We are simply calling, just like switching on the fan, we are simply calling strlen. That's all. The body is unaware. It is there already defined. The body is already defined and saved inside the library file. Okay, so I think it is clear. Now we will move to the second portion, that we are actually going to focus on the second category, that is called as user defined function. Because we are going to write the programs, various programs, we need to define our own function, and we need to utilize those functions in our programs, various programs. Okay, so the user will be creating the function as per their need. So I need to find out the sum of n numbers. I need to write a function for that. Then I'll be writing the logic within the, so we'll see the writing, how to define all these things we'll be covering in the next page. So now the user is going to create a new function. There is no relation with this function and the library function, that is already predefined. Sometimes inside our function also we are using some library function. Sometimes if you want to print something inside our function, so I'll be calling printf. So that is possible. Similarly, so the user will be writing the entire body, a function will be written by the user itself. Now this can be used many times, like sqrt already defined, that can be used many times. Similarly, the user defined function like f1 can also be used many times by the user. Okay, so what are the advantages of using the user defined function? It will be easier to understand, maintain and debug. So we are writing our function, I will be writing different functions, so that we can easily understand, because it is separated like separate modules. Then we can maintain. If you want to have some modification, we need to modify only those functions where we need to modify. If we get some error, some problem is there, we can easily correct by looking at only the function where that error is being affected. Okay, so this is one of the advantage of using. So easier management, easier understand and easier debug. Then the codes can be reusable. So these advantages are actually taken from normal modular programming itself. So we are having reusable codes. The codes can be reusable. So if I write this f1 for finding sum, the same code can be reusable. It can be used with the same program, or it can be shared with some other. Once if it is written, this can be accessible by other part of the programs, or some situation this can be given to the outside of our program also. Now third advantage is, it is dividing the entire larger program into smaller modules. So that makes the program easier. So like in a software company and all, they can divide a larger project into a different set of sub modules, and that can be shared among different programmers. So they don't need to depend on only one programmer. They can give, if you are having a 10-member project, so they can divide the modules, and the different modules are given to different programmers. Okay, so these are the advantages of using user defined function. So now these are the basics regarding what is function, advantages of function, why we are using function, types of function, etc. Okay, now let us see the different, will come a little more closer to the function in C. Now there are mainly three parts for it. So we will be looking at user defined functions only, because predefined functions, we are not going to write anything, because if we know that function name, we can directly use that. So here, when we write a new function by our own, that function, how we can write that function? So there is a general format. There is a general format for doing that function. For that entire function operation, we are having some steps to be followed. So a user defined function will be having three major parts. First portion is called as function declaration or function prototype. Remember these two names, two very important names. Function declaration, as we are declaring a variable, we need to declare a variable. Why we are declaring a variable? Because the compiler must know that in future this variable will be used in this particular program. Similarly, if I am going to use a function in my program, I need to declare. I need to declare that function. If you don't declare that function, the compiler will not understand that. Similar to a variable. If you don't declare a variable and you use that variable later, it will show an error because unidentified variable or variable is not being declared, because the compiler cannot understand. Similarly, if you don't declare a function, it will generate an error. What error? It cannot identify that function. So function declaration or prototype is a statement like variable declaration which gives an indication to the compiler that this function will be used later in this particular program. Okay, so this is called as function declaration. Now we will see the exact syntax of how to declare a function. We will see in the remaining part, I mean the remaining pages of the same part. So we will see the second portion of the usage of function, that is called as function definition. So first of all, we will declare. So like variable x we are declaring, int x we are declaring. First we are declaring, then later we are using x is equal to, we are doing something 1 plus 1 for example. Similarly we are declaring the function first, then we are defining. Okay, so variable, we don't need to define something, we are directly using that variable because it is used for only assigning some values and for doing some arithmetic or similar operations related to the data type. Okay, now function definition means this is a statement, declaration is a statement only gives the basic information. This is the function that is to be followed in the program. But function definition actually writes the exact body of the function. Function body gives the entire body of the function. That means what is to be done, that is called as function definition. So function declaration, we are just declaring the function. There will be having some type declaration and all along with the function name. Similarly, function definition is the part where we are defining the exact body of the function. Okay, so this is the body of the function. So I have declared the function, I have written the body of the function, then comes the function code. I'll just remind the working of fan. There we are pressing on the switch. It can be considered as a function code. I am simply pressing. Pressing on the switch means I am making a call to the function fan, for example. Why we are calling that? Because just execute those portion of that fan function. If I press on some other fan switch, it will give a call to the corresponding function definition. Okay, if I press on a switch for a light, it will make a call to the light, do the function. So we are having different, so light is for giving light, fan is for giving the air or whatever it be, that depends on the device. I am just comparing this concept with the real world thing. So just for giving call, what is that call? So if I want to use a function, I want to perform something, just make a call. If I want to utilize a fan, I will call that. How I am calling? By pressing on the switch. That switch pressing is called as function call. We will see the syntax. Okay, we will see the syntax. The following statements are actually giving the details regarding all these parts of the usages of functions. So every function, if you are using a function, if you are using a user defined function, we should have a function declaration or prototype. We should have a function definition and we should have a function call. These three together will create, or it will have the entire working of the function concept in C. Okay, I hope it is clear. Just remember this name also. In many other languages they are following function prototype. Function prototype is a single statement that declares a function. Once again listen, it is a single statement. It is a single statement that declares a particular function. It will be having only one statement. Function definition is a block of statements. It will be having a number of statements that defines the body of the function. So the entire body will be given. Then function call will be a single statement that calls the function. That calls the function. For a fan, we are having only one switch. Okay, in our programming concept, for using the same function, we can use some other call also. Okay, so function declaration is a single statement. We can have multiple declarations, but they are of different functions. But for a particular function, we should have only one statement. Function's definition consists of multiple statements that defines the body, what is to be done. And function call is also a single statement that makes a call to the function wherever it is required. I hope it is clear. We will see in detail regarding the function declaration first. Function declaration and its syntax. It is also called as function prototype. I have already mentioned. It is the declaration of a function that specifies, so what are the contents of that single statement for a function declaration. We will be having the name of the function. We should have a name to identify that function. We should have a name. Then we should have some parameters. We will be seeing in details regarding parameters. Parameters are the additional information that we are passing while calling a function. So name function will be called with some information. Now just understand, these are additional informations to be passed. They are normally written inside this parenthesis. Some informations are being passed along with the function name. So a function prototype will be having the name, then the parameters. So function prototype, this parameters, how to use that parameters we will see soon. Now just understand what are parameters. Now similarly, a third thing that is called as a return type. So if I am calling a name function, if I am calling a name function, if that function want to get something back, if that function needs to get something back, that means I'll be asking, for example, I'll be giving a function to one person. Assume that I am a boss. I am giving a function to a person, an employee, and he'll be doing the function. So after completing that function, he will be, for example, I am asking for preparing a document. Then he'll be returning that back to the person who have asked to do that function, right? Similarly, I am using the name for calling that function, do that function. Then if I am having some additional information, that will also be passed. Then after that, after the completion of function, if something is to be given back, we should specify the type of that return. What is being returned, whether I am getting an integer value, a number is being returned, or whether I am getting a character, or whether I am getting a string. The type that is being returned back to the caller, okay, that is called as return type. So these three things of a function must be specified when we are declaring or when we are using a function prototype. Second statement, remember carefully. So we will see the syntax. Second thing is, it does not contain a body. I have already mentioned it consists of only one statement. There will be I will see the syntax just in the next statement is actually the syntax. There will be a type. The type will be given as the first word of the declaration statement. Type indicates what type is to be returned. Then comes the name. Then comes the parameter information. They are separated by comma. Additional information. What information this name function is expecting while making a call. That is called as parameter. So this is actually the syntax. So before moving into the exact syntax, a function prototype gives information to the compiler that the function may later be used in the program as a variable declaration. Int x, I am declaring x because it is giving an intimation to the compiler that x will be used in this program later. Similarly, if I am declaring a function, it is an indication to the compiler that the function will be used in this program later. Okay, now let us see the syntax. The first portion, return type. I have already mentioned what is return type. What this entire function, after calling this function, what will be returned, what type will be returned. So sometimes there won't be any return also, that we will see. At that situation, what we can give in this return type, we will see that. So return type, what type that function will be returning. Okay, now next one is the function name. We are giving a user defined name. It must follow all the rules of an identifier. Similar to a variable, similar to an array name, we should have a function name also. We should follow all the rules of an identifier. Now next one, within parentheses. Always remember that function parameters are enclosed within parentheses. This bracket, this is very important. These are called as parentheses. So it must be enclosed within this parenthesis. So normally while giving declaration, here we are giving the parameters, what type of values it is expecting. So we are giving an information to the compiler. So it should give what is the return type. It should give what is the name of the function. It should give what type of values, this function may pass. Sometimes it will be passing some integer, sometimes it will be passing some character, sometimes it will be passing some array also. So different types can be passed. So those information must be given within this parameter list. We will see examples later. Now let us see the next portion. So function declaration is a single statement. Now let us move to the next portion, that is the major portion, the body of function. The body of function. The body of function, the entire body will be having multiple statements. I have already mentioned. A function definition in C program contains a function header. There will be a heading. There will be a heading. Then a body. This is the format. There will be a body. There will be a header. Because when we are going for defining something, there should be a heading. So if we are asked to write an article, you will write the heading. Similarly, if you are going to write some function, give a heading. So heading will be related to the function prototype. So heading must be compatible with the function prototype. That is already being declared. That is already declared on top. Okay. So we will see when we look at the program, we will see where we are going to declare this function prototype. Okay. Now let us see the different portions of function definition. Okay, so we are having function header and function body. So we will look at the function header format. Okay, so what are the different contents of function header? Now look at function header. It will be having a return type as the first element, similar to the function declaration. Okay, so what are the different types? Any types can be returned. It can be like int, char, float, double, etc., etc. And if you are not returning any such value, we can put it as, that type is called as void type. If the function is not returning anything back to the place where it was called, it is using void in the place of return type. Okay, so void means there is no type. Okay, so nothing is being returned. Now next one is function name. As in the declaration, the function header also consists of the function name, the actual name of the function. Now we are having arguments. Arguments means this is the a different name given to parameters. In declaration I was mentioning it as parameters. Now here it is we are using arguments. Parameters or arguments, the set of additional informations with the function name. When a function is invoked, you pass a value to the parameter. Okay, so we will see when we look at an exact example, then only we will understand what is this argument contains. But just understand that arguments are the additional information, maybe some variables, maybe some values that is to be passed. Okay, so in the definition we are actually having parameters. This parameter is called as actual parameter or argument. So argument is also equivalent to parameter, but exactly an actual parameter is called as argument. Argument, actual parameter means, so if you want to find sum, for example I will write, if you want to find the sum of 10 and 20, I will be passing sum of 10 comma 20. This is the function call. We will look at that later. Now these 10 and 20 are the actual values to which I need to find out the sum. So these 10 and 20 are part of actual parameter. Okay, so in function definition we are actually providing the the structure, what type of values it is expecting, similar to the function prototype. So this actual value will be passed when we are calling. So we are not discussing about calling. This is the portion where we are discussing function definition. Okay, now in this we'll be having some specification for these two arguments. So we'll be receiving actual parameter here, but the type details and all for those two parameters we are using a different parameter that is called as a formal parameter. Formal parameter. A formal parameter. Formal parameter is the parameter of function definition. So actual value will be received there through the function call, but this actual value will be assigned to this formal parameter. Formal parameters are also called as dummy parameters, which are used for processing the actual values. Okay, if I want to process 10 and 20, what we are doing, 10 will be assigned to A, 20 will be assigned to B. I will do A plus B. Similar to that, here the first parameter 10 will be passed to corresponding formal parameter, which may consist of A, which is assigned to A. Second value is 20 is assigned to another variable B, that is part of formal parameter. So these two are different parts. In definition we are having formal parameter, in call we are having the actual parameter, the exact value that is to be processed. So next time I will be using sum of 30, 40. The value varies. That is why in function definition we are using a formal parameter, because each time when the function is being called, these values may vary. So here we should have some general format for receiving all such values. Okay, again when we look at the examples, we will see exactly what is happening between the formal parameters and actual parameters. Okay, now let us see the syntax of function definition. That means the function structure, the body of the function. So it consists of a return type. This is the function header. This is the function header. I have already mentioned it requires a header. This is the function header, which consists of the return type like int, a function name like name or any sum or any other name, then argument list. Argument list can be like, for example, it will be like int a comma int b. It can be an example of argument list. If I am passing 10, 20, 20 will be assigned to this A, and 10 will be assigned to this A and 20 will be assigned to this B. Then process A and B. That is happening within this function body. So whatever arguments we receive here, we are not only depending on these arguments, we can write any body, any statements can be written. But if you want to get some information from the place it was being called, it is called from some other location. This is a separate portion. Okay, just remember, fan is there in one location, switch is there in some other location. In the wall we are having switch. There I am calling a function by pressing the switch. Okay, in that particular case I am not passing any additional information. We can call like we are changing the regulator values. Okay, we can simply assign that regulator values. If I am putting 1, the information will be passed to the exact fan. Fan is situated in the ceiling. So if I am setting the regulator as 2, I am switching on the fan. Along with that I am passing the regulator value as 2, and that will be assigned here. It will receive that, it will pick that here, and that will be given inside. There it will be processing that value. That means regulator 2 means the speed will be adjusted to 2. So if I am passing 10 and 20 here, 10 and 20 here, these 10 and 20 will be processed here, and will be doing some additional operation also. So this is happening with the function definition. That is the body, the exact body, what is to be done with a particular function. Okay, I hope it is clear. Again, this is only a syntax. We will see the examples. Okay, So function declaration is a single statement. That syntax is already being covered. Now second one is function definition, that is the body of the function where the exact operations that is to be done with the function, and third one is the function call. Now we will look at the function call, where we press on the switch, that is actually called as function call. So control of the program is transferred to the user defined function that is already defined, this one. The control will be passed to the function by calling it. When the control of the function passed to the exact function, when we are pressing on the switch of fan, while pressing on that switch I am making a call. Now the control will be passed to the exact function of the fan. Okay, so that is called as calling. When a program calls a function, the program control is transferred to the called function. Called function is which function? For example, function is sum. It will go to the body of sum. Body of sum. So that sum is called as called function. Okay. Now called means, that means whom I have called. I have called sum. The control will go to, so just remember that. So I will show you one more thing so that you can easily understand. This is our main program. This is our main program where we are writing some statement. I am calling sum here. I am calling sum here. Then again I will be having some more statements. Now when I am calling sum, it will go to some other location where the sum is being defined. This is the sum. This is the sum. This is sum. For example, this is the main. This is the main. Okay, even within the main, while writing the program, I will be writing the sum definition near to this main only. But internally, every functions are stored separately. So when we are writing a main, it is stored in one area, one storage area. Now sum, this is another, so main is a function, sum is another function which is being created separately. It will be stored in some other location. So for example, this is the location where our program starts, 2000. Now some point of time it is calling a function sum. Then the control will go to some other location. For example, the sum is written in the location 3000. It will go to some other location. It will execute this body. Then after executing this, it will return back to the same location where it was being called. Okay, so main, some statements are being executed. Then a call to function, it will go to some other location, execute this body. Then after the execution, return back to the same location, then continue with the remaining body. This is happening with the function operation. Function, this is called as function call, and this is the place where function definition is being written. Okay, a control transfer between the caller, this is the caller, main is the caller, because where we are calling, that is called, if I am sitting in PG lab, switch is inside PG lab. Okay, so for some situation the fan will be outside or the light will be outside that room. From where I am calling from PG lab. Inside the PG lab I am having the switch, but where is the exact body of that function? That is somewhere outside. Just like we are having motor in our home. Inside the home we are having the switch. So who is the caller? Caller is the person who is switching on the motor, right? So who is that? Who is the owner of the home, or whoever is there inside the home? It is happening from the location. So caller is the person who belongs to the place where that was being called. But while switching on that motor switch, the control will go to some other location, because motor is there somewhere near to the well. So it will go to that, execute that. Then in the case of motor, we can say it is not returning anything back. Okay, so what will happen after that? We are switching off. That concept is different, switching on and off a motor. Okay, but here it is different because calling function go to this location. Then after completing this, it will automatically, the control will automatically come back to the same location where it was being called. Then it will continue with the remaining portions of the same program. This is what is happening with the function. Okay, I hope it is clear. This example is very clear, I think. Now for this only we require function declaration, function definition and function call. So function declaration, I need to declare the function first. If you are using one function, if I am going to use one user defined function, I need to declare that. Second thing is, I should have the body, the functionality must be written. And third thing is, there should be a caller. We should have a call to the function. Okay, so three things are important for the usage of functions in C. So this is called as function call. Just give the name and some parameters. Sometimes it will be empty, or depends on the function, we can provide some values also. If I want to do sum of 10, 20, I can do it here. This 10 and 20 will be processed here. It will go here and it will process here. It will get the sum, and sum will be returned back. And if you want to display the sum here, we can display. Or if you want to display the sum here itself, that is also possible without giving that value back. We don't require a return. We can avoid return also. If you want to have a correct value to be returned, that can be done. We will see that soon. Otherwise, after completing all these statements, the control will automatically come back. There is no value being returned, but the control will come back to the place where it was being called. Okay, so now let us see the syntax of function call. Function call syntax is very simple. Just use the name of the function, then the actual parameter list. Actual parameter means actual value to which that function is to be executed or processed. For example, sum of 10, 20. 10 and 20 are actual values that is to be processed. So we are passing 10 and 20. If you are assigning a equal to 10, b equal to 10, I can pass a comma b, because a is having a value, b is having a value. We are passing that into the function definition. Okay, so we need to just remember the name of the function and the values required for processing the body of that function. Okay, one example is given for all these three operations. Then I think it will be a little more clear to you with this example. Okay, this is the entire program. Now this is simply, I have put this dot because if you have further declaration, that is also permitted. Now this is the entire program that is being written. This is the entire program. Now look at the individual portions. First thing is, we are declaring the function. We are declaring the function. It consists of a return type. I am using integer here. The name of the function is add. Then these are the parameter. So here we actually require only the type of parameters this function is expecting. If you add some variables also, that is not an issue, but normally the basic requirement is, in this function declaration, we require each parameter type. If I am using add, the first parameter must be an integer, that is the indication. Second parameter must be an integer. Third parameter must also be an integer. I can call it like int comma char. That is also possible. What will happen? First I am expecting an integer. Second I am expecting an integer. Third I am expecting a character. Understood? So this is the return type. So there is a type clearly it is given a type integer. So whenever we call add function, this function must return an integer value. This is the meaning of this statement of function declaration. And what are these three? Three integer means this function expects. So when we call this add function, you should pass three integer values because it is expecting that. Okay, so it is given as a declaration. It is almost similar to the function definition header, but it is given as a declaration because in this editor where we are writing the program, in the following portion this function may be used or this function will be used. So I am giving a declaration, I am giving an announcement, otherwise compiler will be in trouble because he don't know that, like a variable, if it is not being declared, it cannot be accessed. So this is a single statement that declares, just remember, return type, name of the function and the types of parameters. They are separated by comma inside the parenthesis, then put a semicolon. Just remember, I have not mentioned the importance of this semicolon in the previous session. This is very, very important. A single statement, it must be ended with a semicolon. This is only like int a semicolon. What we are doing? Int, that is a type of add, and that means that is the return type it is expecting and with some type of parameters, then stop that with a semicolon. This is the function declaration that is done as the first statement. And now I am not going to declare any more functions in this example. Then comes the next portion. This is the function definition. This is the function definition. Function definition means what? We need to define the body of a function. We need to define the body of a function. Just exactly, we should follow the prototype here. We should follow the prototype. Whatever is given in the declaration, we should follow the same prototype while writing the definition. Int, return type, we should use the same function name. Then here we need to have the formal parameters. For each we should have not only the type, we should have a formal variable also, because whatever values we are, this is only an indication that it expects only integer. We are not going to process on this area, but we will be processing on this area, because whenever a function is being called, it will come to this location. So first integer, whatever integer value it receives will be assigned to A. Whatever integer value it receives as the second parameter will be assigned to B. Whatever integer value it receives at the third parameter will be assigned to the variable C. So it is expecting that. So it is simply receiving. If somebody is throwing something into me for doing some process, I will be catching. So this definition area will be catching that, receiving those values as assigned into this parameter variable. So these parameter variables are local variables. They are local to this particular function. It cannot be used somewhere else. These variables are just like local variables inside the add function. Clear? Now inside the body, what I am doing, I am declaring a variable int sum. I can do it separately also. Then sum is equal to a plus b plus c. So whatever values received here, a plus b plus c, this operation will be executed. Then that is assigned to the variable sum. Now we are having the value sum by adding the values received on these parameters. Now I am using a new statement to go back to the place where it was being called by using a return statement. By using a return statement. If there is a specific type, a specific return type present in the function declaration or function definition, it must consist of a return statement. If it was a double value must be returned. If it was a character value must be returned. If it was a float value must be returned. Now it is an integer, so I am returning an integer. What integer? I am returning the result. This is the requirement, right? If I am passing return 1, I can write that also. If I am passing return 1 means whoever is calling add will be receiving only 1. After, so it will be calculating sum, okay, but it will be returning 1. But what I want now, I want the result of that. According to the logic, you have to decide what is to be returned. So return sum means this value will be returned to the place where this add was being called. Okay, I hope it is clear. So this is the function declaration. Just a statement ending with a semicolon specifies the prototype. Now this is the function header and the body. Together will form function definition. The entire details of the function, what is to be done with that particular function. Then comes the main program. So this is so far we are writing only main program, right? So far we are writing only the main program. I have not included any header files and all here. You can include that also. This is only the skeleton. You can include include stdio.s here, or if you want to have some other header files, that can also be done. Then write the declaration. A declaration given above the main, which is usually called as global declaration. Normally functions are declared globally. Functions are declared globally because some other function can also access this. That's why. Not only this main, some other function can also access this. That is why it is declared globally. Similarly, function definition. Just listen, function definition, where I have written this definition. I have written this definition after the declaration. I cannot write this before that, because whenever it sees this declaration, it will look for the definition after that only. So that is why after the declaration only I can define. Also look at this, where this definition is written. This is before main. It is written before main. It's not an issue because it is actually a different location. It is a different function like a main. A separate body is written. So that is why it is separated from main. It is not written inside the main. Either you can write it here, or you can write it after main also. That is also possible. Some textbook you may see that this function is being defined after the main. No issue. That means it will be stored in some other location. But declaration must come before the definition. Otherwise the compiler will not understand the function that is being defined. So declaration must be on top. This definition can be either before the main or after the main. That is not an issue. Okay. Now look at the main program. Just like our previous programs, there you will see now declaration is over, definition is over. Now we require only call. So from where I am wishing to call, I am wishing to call from the main. So main is the caller, from where I am going to call the function add. Okay. So what I am doing with main, I am declaring a variable index equal to 10, while declaration itself I am assigning the value 10, y equal to 20, z equal to 30. Okay, so we are actually requiring 3 parameters, so that is why I am declaring 3 and I am directly assigning values. You can also do like declare 3 variables, then scan 3 values, get the values from user. That is also okay. Okay, so anyway you can get the value. You should have that value in the variable, that's all. Even without having that also we can pass, directly we can pass the value also. That is also possible, but normally user interactive programs will be scanning the values from the user. So that is a better way of writing the program. Now next one, int res. Another variable is being defined. Int res indicates result. So in main I am using result is to store the sum of these 3 numbers. I am not going to write summation 10 plus 20 plus 30 here. What I am going to do, equal to add of x, y, z. This is the function call. Add of x comma y comma z. You will be thinking that this can be easily written like int res equal to x plus y plus z. Okay, that is also correct. But this is only a simple example. If this function requires more operations, not only summation, it requires many logics. So it will be having multiple number of statements also. This consists of only one. So it is an easier function, but still whatever it be, even if it is a single or simple statement, simply make a call to add of x comma y comma z, semicolon. So what is happening? I am calling add of x comma y comma z. Add of x comma y comma z. X will be having 10, y will be having 20, z will be having 30. So 10 will be assigned to this integer a while calling. 20 will be assigned to b. 30 will be assigned to c. While calling add of, it will go to this add of x. Will, it is like a is equal to x. That x value will be copied. It is only copying. We will see that concept later. We will be copying that 10 into a, 20 into b, 30 into c. Now actually what we are having in definition, we will be getting add of 10 comma 20 comma 30 on the variables a comma b comma c. Now what we are doing here? Here into sum equal to a plus b plus c. What is the value of a? 10. What is the value of b? 20. What is the value of c? 30. 3 will be added and the result is stored in sum. Sum is being returned. Sum is being returned because int is the return type. So sum will be returned to this function add, and that is assigned to the variable res. This sum will be returned to this function, and that value, it is an integer value, that is why here also we are having an integer value that is assigned to the variable res. Okay, so it is assigned to the variable called as res. Then I am trying to printf result is equal to %res. So actually this is a simple program that consists of declaration, definition with the return type, then a call with some actual. So this x, y and z, they are called as actual parameters. A, B and C, they are called as formal parameters. Remember, it's very important. Function call, whatever parameters we are using, that is called as actual parameters. Function definition, whatever parameters we are using, that is called as formal parameter. That is only a formal, because you want to, actually we want to process 10, 20, 30. For storing this 10, 20, 30, I am using some formal variables a, b or c. It is also called as dummy parameter. It is only for temporary purpose, right? So if I am writing one more statement like int h is equal to add of some other value 1 comma 2 comma 3, that time again 1 will be assigned to a, so this is only temporary. 2 will be assigned to b, 3 will be assigned to c. So these values are actually, so according to the function call, these values are assigned to the formal or dummy parameter, and those parameters will be acting as local variable here inside the function definition, and this will be processed according to the function requirement. And if you want to have some return statement, that value can be returned. So in the case of C, I will say one thing, it can return exactly one value only. A function in C can return only one value, whatever be the. So if our function consists of multiple results, we cannot return all those results. So we should have some other provision for that. We don't always require these values to be returned back. We can print those values here also. So how we can modify this program? If I am printing that sum here, int sum is equal to a plus b plus c, and I am writing printf here. Printf sum, I am writing here. Okay, that means it is not returning anything. So that situation I can avoid this int and I can replace that with void. So here also I will be having void. Then here we don't need to assign that into a variable. Simply call add of x comma y comma z. We don't require this statement also. Now what will happen? It will simply call add of x comma y comma z. X10 will be assigned to A, 20 will be assigned to B, 30 will be assigned to C. It will calculate sum is equal to A plus B plus C. It will print that sum here. It is not returning any value, but after the completion the control will come back to this location. Then in this program remaining there is no program, it will go to closing phase and the program will be stopped. Okay, listen to the video once again, because this basic concept must be very it is to be clear, because in all the future languages you need to follow the concept of functions. So this is the basic concept, like function declaration, function definition and function call. There will be slight differences, but most of the languages are following almost the same pattern, but there will be some differences in the declaration, in the definition, as well as in the there will be slight difference, very slight differences when we are using all these three things. But this is a common global concept. Wherever we use functions, we are following these different things like function declaration, function definition and function call. Okay, so hope it is also clear, and we will have one statement that was already there in the program. Just give a description on that. A return statement terminates, already it was explained, a return statement terminates the execution of a function and returns a value to the calling function. That there in the example sum was returned, sum will come to this and that is assigned to this res, and res is being displayed. Now the program control is transferred to the calling function after the return statement. Okay, so first this value will be returned, then remaining there is no statement in that function, right? So it will, the control, even if there is no return statement, then also after the completion of the entire function body, the control will be coming back to the main or the calling function, whichever function. So here it is main is calling the add function, it will come back. Okay, so in the example some variable is returned to the main function, res variable is assigned that return value and that is being displayed. Okay, so that's it for this session. We have discussed about modular programming, general modular programming, then functions, advantages, the different types of functions, the various parts of a function like function declaration, function definition, function call, the syntaxes of all these three, and an example that consists of all these three operations. So next sessions we will see some more programs related to the functions, and also we will see some modified concept called as recursion that is related to the function itself. So that's it for now. Thank you.